Hello and welcome back. In this video, I'm going to go over why it's important to strive for, to get at, and to maintain being a top rated seller. So first I'll go over the requirements of what eBay has, what they show of what it takes to qualify as a top rated seller. So first, your account needs to be 91 days and older. You have to have 100 or more transactions and $1,000 of sales over 12 months. That's an item sales. That does not include shipping, but 1,000 should be relatively easy. A defect rate of 0.5% or three or fewer defects from individual buyers. That defect rate, I'm not going to get into over that, but typically it's going to be like you're out of inventory, cases closed that you didn't agree to, that the buyer ultimately won. And this is where top rated comes in handy, because it's not likely to happen that you have a case closed against you as a top rated. Cases closed without seller resolution, that's part of this up here. The late shipment rate, less than 3%. So again, these are things that fall into the umbrella of defect rate. And tracking uploaded within your time that you state that you'll have it. So that's what will qualify you to become a top rated seller, to maintain that. So there's top rated, there's above standard, and there's standard. The top rated plus benefits, more things to be, or I should say to have it be that you're top rated plus, which I have another tab open and I'll show that, is it offers same day or next day shipping. Even if you have 1 day business shipping, you can set a time frame or an absolute day. So if you go into your settings and you say any orders received by paid by noon may go out that day. eBay considers a day for what you're doing shipping wise. I'm Eastern. So if an order comes in, somebody pays for something at 2 o'clock in California and I'm in Ohio, eBay will register that that's too close to a point to where it could be closing time for the Postal Service. For items that I get and I can have a label on it that day, I'll have it on that day, even if an order comes in 10 minutes before the carrier is supposed to be here. If he or she's not here, I'm still going to do my darnest to package it up. So that gives you that little bit of time for the one business day. If you get an order on Friday, usually, for me in Eastern, usually if I get the order around what would be 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock my time, AM Eastern time, it means that somebody was up a little. It's still earlier, the more west. That one will likely come in that I need to ship it out that day. If one comes in on Friday, it won't have to go out until Mondays, non-holiday Mondays. You also need to offer a 30-day or longer for return. And this is based, my understanding experience is based solely on domestic. So I don't know on how much they've changed it for the international for returns, but domestic wise, you need to offer a 30-day, and I do a minimum of 30-day return. And there's a lot of benefits that will come up as I scroll up this page here in a minute. You get the top rated seal on your listings, which I'll show in this other open tab. And you get a 10% on your final value fees. So if you put the 10% on final value fees, if you have $50,000 a year, that's $5,000 that you got for being top rated got back, or otherwise you didn't have to spend. That's 5,000, and you can use that 5,000, and 2% of that you could promote your items. So if half, in another video I explained that around half of my sales were sold prior or promoted. If you have 50,000, if half of those is now going to be 25,000, you add all that, the maths up, and you end up with money that's saving money to put it somewhere else. The benefits to top rated, minus this whole paragraph right here, are these two. Return shipping label credit for false item not as described claims. So there are buyers that know how to kind of game the sale, game the system, and unfortunately eBay still has quite a few. There are some settings that you could do to negate some of that, which I can make a video about, on how to negate bad buyers and negate problems and so on and so forth. But the other part, for being top rated, you can offer up to 50% refund on a returned item. If you, and also with the return shipping label credit. This happens less often than the 50%. So if somebody wants to return an item, especially an item that you sold new and it's a DVD or a CD or whatever it is, and it's returned open, you can deduct up to 50%. If an item is when it comes back, and if it's anything different than what you sold it as, than what your pictures show it as, eBay now finally decides to understand that when sellers put items up with the pictures, that they're not intending to deceive people. That was eBay's sentiment for a while, but like, oh, you as a seller, you're an absolute angel. You make us money, you make you money. But as soon as a problem comes up and you as a seller want to contest that problem, now eBay, they will call you a liar. But like, oh, no, we never touched that item. Yeah, so we don't know what it actually looked like. What if it wasn't? Basically just called every seller a liar by saying that. But anyhow, so that is a big benefit, is that you can deduce 50% or have your refund that you're going to give the buyer up to 50%. Whatever reason you pick, however you type it in, make sure you throw a photo in there of some sort. And 99% of the time, eBay will close that case in your favor. They will give the buyer the difference in the refund, and they will close the case in your favor. Is what that also does. Being top rated, having a case, being able to refund up to 50%, those are big benefits. The bigger benefit is when it comes to, and this applies to all sellers, when you have a case closed in your favor, any negative or neutral feedback or non-accurate star markings, ratings, those will be removed or adjusted. So being top rated, you have a couple other obligations. Get your item out quicker, same day or next day, or basically within the time frame that you're supposed to with the date that's on the eBay ship by this date. You get 2% on, or I'm sorry, you get 10% on your final value fees, all of them. That's part of why I do free shipping, amongst other reasons. You, for any returns, you could deduct up to 50%. And this is a great policy to copy paste the link and a generic sentence to a buyer who wants to return something. Either they open it up or they message you, be like, hey, I would always encourage you as a seller, if somebody's messaging you first, to tell them, like, hey, if you want to return it, then open up a return. eBay has some more seller protections in that regard, to where if you show that you said, hey, open up a return, and you told them a couple of times and they leave you a negative feedback, get on the phone with eBay, which I have a video about on how you can do that easily with eBay to call you. Really easy. And when you talk to them, they will look over the messages and they'll be like, no, they were told to open a return. They know how to open the return and they chose not to. Sometimes, most of the time, eBay will remove that feedback. I do have a recent negative feedback, my most recent, based on basically what I just said, that eBay's just hasn't done anything about. And that feedback was, the guy said that the box is damaged and or the books are or a part of the book is damaged, and the damage that he showed me in the pictures is the damage that's shown in the picture in the listing. So, generic recap on this: the benefit of being a top rated seller, the final value fee discounts, you get you get this top rated plus badge. So this is where bringing this entire screen, so this is the Never Ending Story book that I have, and we can see, and I posted on just 2 videos ago about holding this price and the quality of the listing, the quality of the book. So we can see that these are all right around that price range: 175, 173, 170. Now, do they sell fast enough? There's 21, however I have this broke down, and 31 that is sold. And they sell for right around that price range. They can go up and down in pricing for sure. That's a third print. But as we see, there's no top rated. Oh, there's a couple. Top rated plus. There's a few out of there. So that top rated plus does help garner some extra views and having the sharper pictures. And if we go to, let's just say this one here, and we look, the condition of that dust jacket isn't bad for, for being 40 years old. I don't know, still your hand on everything, just put it on a table. There's a table right here. And there's going to be the typical pictures that you're going to want. Actually, I would have wanted to look at the edges. So for looking at the comparison, a buyer, that is the UK version. Here we go. A buyer would want to look at the specific edges. This one has writing on the page there. No pictures of the edges. And what I mean by the edges, or the edging, maybe this one. So you have a basic edging picture right here. But do they have a picture of the... Oh. They do have a picture of the top edging. More edging. And they can see that that one's warped a little. Then if we look at my listing on it, I go straight to the edging. There's the bottom. There's the side. There's the top. So we can see the ones that, this one and this one. So will mine sell for $200? Hopefully it will, give or take. I mean, it will for 180, give or take. But we can see that there's a top rated. Somebody scrolls over that. That's what they see. Does that really mean a whole lot? I would like to think so. Does it help in sales? I do think so. And feedback will reflect that. So this is just a generic video on why it's important to be top rated. It gives you more motivation and it gives you more pride in what you do. It gives you discounts and it gives you seller protections for returns. So if you like what you heard, like what you saw, feel free to like the video, make a comment or two, subscribe, share.